Joining us now, of course, she was a standout player at Arizona, got to the College World Series a couple times there at Arizona, was a Gold Glove Award winner, a Pac 12 Defensive Player of the Year, an All American. Has been playing professionally now a couple of years, including this season with the Orlando Monarchs. I speak of Allie Skaggs joining us for the first time here on In the Circle on D1 Softball. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, this is good. We're both Orlando. I live in Orlando. What's it been like for you spending time in Orlando this summer playing professionally?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been rainy. That's been the biggest difference for me being an Arizona kid that we rarely get rain. So it's definitely different, but it's great. The Orlando Monarchs has been an absolute blast. The girls are amazing. Our team's been competitive, fun. It's been pretty much everything that I could ask for a summer. Wish it was longer than 2 months. I think that this is the type of thing that we wait around 10 months for to go play competitive ball. So it's been great to get out with a team, not have to train by myself after a long off season of doing a lot of that work with me and my family back in Arizona and getting after it. But it's been great. I'm super happy to be here. Crazy, it's already almost 2 weeks until we're about done, but it's been a great summer.
What's it been, have you the adjustment been like? Because you spent most of this time now on the East Coast as a result. Played in Orlando. You started the season playing in the Bahamas, by the way. Not it could be
Yeah,
worse places to start a
I
season.
agree.
What's that been like?
Yeah, it's definitely different, but I think the thing that helps me a lot is that I was raised in Louisville, Kentucky. So I did grow up playing more toward this side of the country. So the weather, I'm more used to that, or I used to be way more so. But it's definitely been an adjustment, just the type of weather, the type of like the competition, obviously across the board is great in pro ball. So that hasn't really been a huge adjustment for me. Like I feel like everyone's good once you get to this level. So it's been fun to just get around a bunch of like-minded people like that. So if anything, it's been mostly just the environment, but I feel like I'm a very go with the flow person. So it hasn't been a huge issue for me. I feel like wherever they tell me to go, I'm going to go. I'm going to show up at practice when they need me to. If I need to adjust, I'll adjust. Just happy to be here. So yeah, it's been great. It hasn't been too bad. So it's all I can ask for.
Well, you have a young roster around you.
Mhm.
Who've been some of the players you've enjoyed getting to know, or maybe a player you competed against? What's the, what? Take me through the camaraderie with this team.
Yeah, it's actually really great. This is one of my favorite groups of girls I think I've played with. The vibes are amazing. I think all of us get along really well. Off of the field, especially too. On the field, we're great. I think we mesh really well, especially being a new team that only gets to play together for 2 months. I don't think that a lot of teams could get together that quickly and really get along really well. So the personalities are phenomenal. I think my most favorite one, I'll have to shout out Julia Kutsanopoulos. So her and I were roommates our freshman year at Arizona, and we are roommates here, and we get to live together again and get to play on the same team again. Her and I were super close, still are. She was my 1-2 punch. I played second, she played first, and we absolutely loved patrolling the right side together. So being able to kind of run that back this summer has been absolutely phenomenal. Her and I were extremely close. To be able to play together and wear the same jersey again has been incredible. G's been great. I've gotten a lot closer with Alyssa Garcia. She's been great behind the plate for us. Kylie Sand has been phenomenal at short. She's been fun to play up the middle with. Tessa Malaulu, she's a stud at third base. I'm just going around the infield in my head. I'm a biased infielder, so that's who I go to first. But really, though, all across the board, the girls are great. Like it's one of those things where you could really hang out with any group of people, any kid at any time, and it's not going to be awkward or anything like that. So it's been a great group on the field. It's been a blast too. It's been a really easy transition to kind of get everyone together and really play pretty good ball.
One of the things that I've always enjoyed about this side of the pro game, when I've talked to players, is that in these cases is everybody wants to be here. It's not like you have to
Yeah,
be here. It's not like college.
yeah.
I've always heard that in college, yeah, and admittedly, in some cases you got to be there because of scholarships or whatever. Maybe sometimes you
hmm
kind of get burned out. Whereas here, you're doing it because you want to be here because you love the game.
Yep.
So, so what is it that keeps you going?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I talk a lot about is that for me, like once you get to this level, like you've kind of made it, like this is where you're going. The next step, in my opinion, would be like the Olympics. That would be the next big thing that people are trying to go after once you get to the pro level. But for me, I think the thing that keeps me going the most is that I still feel like I'm getting better. I still am challenged every single day. And so I think that for me, I'm planning on playing softball as long as I can and until I feel like I'm not really getting better. I feel like once I get to the point where I'm like, okay, maybe I've plateaued a little bit, maybe this isn't really like I can't really keep up anymore, or this might be that my max, then I might say, okay, I think I'm good. But right now, like I'm more motivated now than I think I've ever been to get better at softball. So just being around this level of play, it it makes you better. Like iron sharpens iron. I know that people say that. And so once you get to this level, like everyone here is a big dog. The pitching is phenomenal that you're facing every single day. So it's not, you don't have any breaks. So I think that that's the thing that motivates me to want to keep playing at this level is that, okay, I need to, obviously, I would love to go absolutely dominate at this level. So I know like it's been a fun summer. Like I feel like I'm competing really well, but my goal is to down the road in the next couple of years, like I want to set myself apart from even that. So it's eye-opening and it's great to face this level of competition every single day so that I know what to go take with me into the off season, how to get better from that, and then come back next summer and then have 2 months to go prove it again. So no, I'm loving it. This is one of those things like I'm a very competitive person that does not like not being good at things. So I'm ready to get back to work and ready to keep competing. We got 2 more weeks left, so obviously go prove it while I've got it here, and then get back to work on what I feel like I can get better at, and then get to do it all over again.
How are you a different player today than you were when you last played at Arizona a couple years ago?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing right now is definitely, I would say I've always been a confident person. I definitely am, but I feel like right now, like getting to the pro level, I really am starting to give myself credit for how good I've actually gotten, but also realizing like how good I still can get. I think that playing at the college level, like you're good, like like you if you see the stats and you see all this stuff, like you're pretty good. But I feel like for me, it's can you be good all the time against this level of play? And so like that's been my biggest thing that I would say like I have the confidence and I know that I fully belong at this stage, and now it's just getting better from there. So like I said, I was very confident at Arizona too, but right now like I feel like all of everything that I get to do and can possibly do in the future, like it's totally in my hands. And I know I feel like I have just like even more belief now that it can be done. Like I know that I know exactly what I'm gonna face every summer now. Like I've even playing in AU last summer, I faced every pitcher there and then I faced every pitcher here this summer. So it's like okay, like I know exactly what I'm gonna be facing. I know on defense what I need to get better at. So I think that that's my biggest thing right now is that the confidence level is great. And then even then too, like just the skill level is so different. Like I feel like I've gotten better. Like I feel like I physically have gotten better at softball. Like I've gotten better at hitting better pitching and I've gotten better at moving on defense. So even since playing 2 years ago now in college.
For the audience that may not be aware, so take us through what you do when you're not playing professionally, because obviously you mentioned you play in the summer. So what do you do in the fall and the spring, A, to get ready for the next summer to play, and B, what else do you do in the meantime?
Yeah, so right now, from a training standpoint, this past season was my first full off season kind of on my own. And I have my partner in crime, my boyfriend Josh, and we both live up in Phoenix now, and we are training buddies. Like we do everything together. So him and I got after it this past off season. With really challenging stuff. I think that that was my biggest adjustment too, coming out of college, is that I think I finally decided that hey, maybe you're not always going to feel good when you leave training, but that means that you probably got better. So there's the players here at this level are too good that you're not going to walk out feeling good every day, but you can feel like you got better. You can feel like you developed a little bit. So we got after it. We did a lot of really hard work. He's my machine feeder, so we'll pretty what we did this off season. Like we just did a ton of some like high velocity work, high spin work, seeing a lot of pitching that to me should be harder than what anything that I'm going to see in the game, trying to hit 80 miles per hour or trying to do live at bats off of it where you can't see release, you can't see movement, you don't know what's coming literally at all. So that was a very challenging thing that my goal is to still do damage off of that. I'm a righty power hitter, so I know that that's my job. So training really hard against things that are making me fail and understanding that that's okay. If I'm failing at it, great, but I know that I'm getting better from it. And then from a ground ball, like defensive standpoint, he's my fungo hitter too. So he hit me so many reps and I I think the fun part about this past summer was not really knowing where I would be playing and like position wise, like I didn't really know. I know I'm a utility, played 4 years of college at second base only. I don't know if I took any reps anywhere else, but last summer playing at AU, I played third, short, second, and first. So I was literally all over the infield. And then this summer, I've been moving around a little bit, playing second and third, taking reps at practice in different spots too. So this offseason was a ton of hitting, a ton of offense, and then just kind of staying sharp on the defensive stuff too. It's a little tough doing it solo from like a player standpoint, just because obviously on defense, like I was throwing into a net for double play turns, and I was doing all of these little things if I didn't always have a buddy to train with. From a non-training perspective, Josh and I are starting a 16U club team this coming fall. So we love the coaching side. I love coaching. I love sharing the game with people. I think that that's a gift that I have that I want to use for as long as I can. I really enjoy the development side. I had a phenomenal travel ball club coach experience where I give him a ton of credit for kind of where I got to. And I know what that experience did for me, having a coach that like really, really pushed me in that sense. And so I want to be able to give that back. So I love that age, the high school age of kids that are trying to go play at the next level. And I feel like I have a lot of really valuable information and even just like practice plan stuff, little things like that that can help prepare them for the next level. So that's what I will be doing alongside training myself. I'll be training younger kiddos too, and kind of getting them ready at the next level and kind of getting them exposed to what they might be seeing in the next couple of years.
You prefer the travel ball aged versus, for example, college coaching and things like that.
I like both. I like the idea of both. I like the idea of coaching in general. So
Okay.
I can see myself doing the college route down the road for sure once I kind of like really settle. I think maybe after I'm done playing, like I don't fully know yet. I haven't fully decided or figured that out. I also am not in a rush to figure all of that out. But right as of right now, I do really like the younger age. I think like my heart is kind of drawn to that just because I know how impressionable those kids are at that age, and they just need leadership. They need someone to tell them that one, it's possible to go play at that next level, but they need people to provide them with what they need. I mean, it's not a shock when players are coming from Batbuster Stiff and they're dominating in college because they had a phenomenal club experience. Corona Angels, Tyson, like there's just all of these teams that run things really, really well, and similarly to what college players are experiencing, to where they have 4, 5, 6 years of experience before they even step on campus. And so like that's my goal, is having an understanding of exactly what a day-to-day kind of might look like for a college team, and then being able to provide that to the girls before they have to go there, so that hopefully they're prepared and hopefully they feel like they can step on and go make an immediate impact somewhere at a high level.
You know, it's interesting because we just had Maddie Grimm, who's obviously with the Smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to her. She coaches a travel ball team, and the challenge in talking to her about it is the fact that it conflicts with her pro career. Because, for
Yep.
example, just recently at the Legacy tournament in Atlanta, she had her team there, but she also is playing. So she's coaching,
Yep.
but then she's playing, and she's trying to balance all that out. So
Yes.
that is that. Have you thought of that, of the conflict that
Yeah.
that presents?
Definitely. And that's been a lot of the biggest conversations that I've had with the families that we've been kind of looking at and working with, is that, hey, my goal is to keep playing for a while. So I might not be very much around June, July, which at the same time, like that's the biggest recruiting time for club kids. Like, you know, that like kids are going to Colorado, they're going to PGF, they're getting recruited in that summer part. But I do know that for me, like I feel really confident that like Josh and I are planning on coaching together. And then we also have quite a few connections to players in Phoenix that have played D1 or are playing D1 or are just playing at a high level, that they're going to be able to fill in for me, which is great. Like I'm going to be using like the kind of softball community to be able to help me out when I can't physically be there. And I think what is the most comforting thing for a lot of like the families too is that I tell them, hey, I'm going to be there for 10 months out of the 12. It's going to be 2 months that they're going to be prepared way before going up to those tournaments. So hopefully at those tournaments, they feel like they can just go let loose and go play and go let their skills play. But I'll be there for 10 of the months. The only two that I won't be, like, you're still going to be in good hands with the same level of coaching and the same level of people. So, and families seem to feel a little bit better about that. And I think the thing too that I try to embrace and love about it is that throughout college, I really made it a point to make really good connections with people. And so every time that we played any team, like my goal was to either go introduce myself to the coach, go meet some of the players, like be okay with talking to them on the field. Like you never know what relationships are going to mean to you down the road. And so for me, for a lot of these girls, I'm like, I might not be there in the summer, but if a coach comes and watches you at Colorado, I might have a connection to them and they can give me a call, or I can give someone else a call, or they, we can find a way to communicate even if I'm not physically there for it. I took a lot of pride in building my like brand and personality and character at U of A to help me down the road.
Plus, I mean, you're not the only person that's got this dilemma. There's college
Right.
coaches that play still and things like that. And perhaps you could work it out an agreement with the team that, hey, if I have to take off for a weekend to coach something,
Right.
it could be allowed, it could happen. And, depending on how the rosters play out. So it's not like that
Yeah.
this could evolve and as time
Yes.
goes.
Right.
I want to ask you, you mentioned it, you've played all the infield positions.
Hmm.
I assume you were just naturally could play all the infield. I'm so that's
Yeah.
interesting. So take me through that, playing each position, because I've seen you obviously play third base. I
Hmm.
remember when I saw you at third, I was thrown off because I'm so used to seeing you at second. So take
Yep.
me through that process of learning and playing all the infield positions.
Yep. So for me, I grew up a shortstop. I always played short in club. And then it was funny. My senior year of high school, I started playing second, and we had a really good shortstop. So I switched over to second. She played short. And I started loving second. Like I fell in love with it. And then at U of A, I always just remember Coach Mike Kendrea always telling me that I needed to throw more long toss because my arm needed to get stronger. And so he was like, I don't know if you're going to be playing shortstop at Arizona, but we could put you at second. And so I was like, all right, great, that's fine with me. And that's why it makes me laugh that I didn't take reps anywhere else. Cause once I got to second, I just really, like, I fell in love with it and I kind of fully embraced it and became a really good second baseman. And I wasn't mad about it because it saved my arm from the long throws. So if you saw me having to use my whole body to throw it over from third, that's why. But yeah, so I grew up playing short, moved to second, played second all 4 years at U of A. And then last summer playing pro ball, I moved around quite a bit. I think the key thing for that for me is that one, I grew up training as a shortstop. In my opinion, if you can play short, you can most likely play anywhere, especially in the infield. If you can play shortstop, you can play any infield spot. Because at the end of the day, like defense is about athleticism. So if you can move and if you have a good enough release, like my arm isn't the strongest, but I have a good release and I get to the ball really well. So for me, even playing third, playing short, the mechanics and fundamentals don't change regardless. Like at second base, I might have more time and like rhythm to field balls, but at third base and short, it's the same thing. You're still fielding a ground ball and you're still making a throw. So it's not like your short hop picks are the same. Like nothing really changes outside of the pace that you need to do things at. So for me, it's just having an awareness that when I'm at third, I might have to expect bunt. I have to throw more things on the run, maybe if it's on a chopper or something like that. Like, or I just buckle down and become a catcher and block something if it's hit hard at me, because at second I don't have really time to do, like, I don't know, but it's just understanding the timing, the slappers, all of those different things where the defense is just a tick different when you're playing all these different spots. But for me, like I take a lot of pride in my defensive just fundamentals and training that I trust myself to play anywhere. I played first base a lot last summer and it was really fun because I could pick the ball and I was like saving it. All these people like making throws. And I was like, you guys are welcome over here with my picks. But it was a blast just because at Arizona, especially, I really, really started to take pride in all of those little things on defense with when it comes to just the glove work, the footwork, the rhythm, the timing, all of this stuff. And so I feel confident that you can stick me anywhere on the field outside of pitching and catching that I could do pretty well and I could hold my ground and I won't look out of place if that makes
No,
sense.
I mean you look
Yep.
you look like you've played for decades at third base. So I
Oh,
mean
thank you. Okay, good
so
to know because I have
I,
not.
no, that's why I was surprised when you just told me that. I just assumed you've played that, but it doesn't surprise me. Everything you said is accurate because I remember a lot of coaches, in particular like Tony Baldwin, the Georgia head coach, has
Hmm.
told me that he recruits shortstops
Yep.
a lot because he knows, odds are that shortstop's the best player on the team, he's the best athlete on the team, and they're the
Hmm.
easiest to convert when they come into college to different positions if need be.
Yep.
Or if they see him as a fit somewhere else, outfield, infield, whatever, that's kind of why. So that does make a sense. Which
Yeah.
position was the hardest of all the infield for you? Kind of like figure, like lock it down to your level
Yeah.
of I feel good, comfortable here.
Honestly, I will say that when I grew up playing short, I thought that second base was the easiest. until I started playing it. And second base to me is so difficult when it comes to all of the little things that you have to take care of. So I'm going to be biased and say second base because I really thought that it was just like, oh, just stick her over there and like, field the ball and like you have time. It's a short throw, whatever. And then I got over there and I was like, there's so much that I'm responsible for when it comes to, like bunt coverage, maybe even steal coverage. We did like some fun and difficult steal coverages at U of A. Learning those were hard. Like the cuts and relays, double play, like little, just every single thing that you can think of. Like there's so many little things, back picking at first base on a missed bunt, little things like that I was like, I didn't even know if they were over here working like that for us. So I love second base now. There's just so many more little things that I have such an appreciation for that position. Other than that, I would say prop, the corners are tough too, just because I won't say just third base, but the reason why I'm saying that is because of the bunts. I don't like fielding the bunt. I mean, I don't hate it, but I'd much rather, like, I got so comfortable like covering first base on the bunt that when I played, even playing third at UCF, I was like, oh crap, they might bunt. So I had to play in and like be ready for that. It's just a different fundamental when it comes to like picking that up and being okay with playing so far up and being ready for them to swing or being ready for them to drop one down really quick. So that's been my biggest adjustment, and like one of those things where if I'm going to be playing third base more often, like I need to do more bunt defense. So that's my goal. But I'm going to be biased and say second base was the hardest thing to learn. Just all of the little things that I had no clue that I was going to have to do or be responsible for. It was pretty cool to like really take pride in that.
Spoiler, I think you figured it out. You kind of eventually you figured it out there, winning a Gold
Yes.
Glove at that position there.
Yes.
Uh, you mentioned growing up playing shortstop. What got you into playing softball?
My parents. So I was put in coach pitch when I was really young, and I just don't think I ever really fell out of love with it. So I played coach pitch, and then I played machine pitch in Louisville, Kentucky. And then I loved machine pitch. It was so fun when I was like 9 or 10. And then I started playing like club ball when I was a little around that age. And then I started playing real club, like legit club ball when I was about eighth grade, I think it was when I made the switch over to like a real like travel team. Like we were going to go to all the bigger tournaments and start to look at like, because that was before the rule change too. So at all of the tournaments and stuff, there were coaches all the time, and you're in eighth grade, you're a freshman, and coaches are actually like watching these players, which was a crazy time to think about. But yeah, my parents put me in it, and I just don't ever think I really looked back. My parents were great about it in the sense of they never forced me to do anything outside of what I wanted to do. So they weren't gonna, with softball, obviously they wanted me to play sports. They wanted me to stay with something, like love something, but they were never the type to be like, you have to do this. The only thing that they would have told me to do was, hey, if you're going to commit to a team, like you need to finish out the year. But I never really even got to that point. They were just kind of like, all right, if you keep loving it, like we're going to keep doing what we can to support you. And so that was great because I never felt the pressure to feel like I was doing it for them or doing it for anything else other than the fact that I just loved playing. So my parents put me in it, and then I fell in love with it, and like I said, I never really fell out of it.
How'd you end up in Arizona?
How did I end up at Arizona? So I was actually born in Tucson, but I was raised in Louisville, Kentucky, and so my parents were born and raised Tucson. They both went to Arizona, so they're U of A alums, so they're both Wildcats too. So I grew up like a Wildcat in Kentucky, not the Kentucky Wildcats, but I grew up an Arizona Wildcat in Kentucky. So we were always exposed to Arizona. Like we just always had like
Sure.
the U of A gear. We always had all this stuff. For me, I think the biggest thing, a bunch of my family lives in Tucson. And so growing up, like being in Kentucky, we always traveled to Arizona for like, we'd go there for Christmas. We'd go there and just visit the family all the time. And I think the biggest thing for me was that understanding that if I was able to play there, then all of them could come watch me play all the time. Like I had some older family members that weren't going to be able to make all of those trips and like be able to come watch me play if I was going to be playing somewhere across the country. So family was a huge part for me. I actually got recruited at a camp. So a camp it wasn't like an invite only. I went to Arizona camps growing up because that was the one time that like all of the family could come watch me play softball. We didn't actually like play in a tournament, but it was just, they would all come and watch me at camp. So it was fun. But I was hitting front toss in a cage, and Coach Kendrea walked up or actually it was Coach Stacy Iveson, I believe, at the time. She saw me hitting it, and then I think she brought over Coach. So Coach, and then he started watching me hit, and then after that day, he asked if I had anything like how long we were in town, whatever. And I ended up walking around campus and seeing some of the stuff the next day, I believe it was. And then so they showed some interest there at camp. They liked how I was swinging the bat as a freshman. And then they ended up following me the whole next year. So they came and watched me in Colorado, came and watched me in PGF. They liked how I performed. And then I ended up committing my sophomore year in October. So they saw me my freshman year in December-ish, I think it was. And then I ended up committing about a year later. So that's how it was one of those things where as soon as coach told me that they could have a uniform for me, I immediately was like, yes, I'm in. This is what I want. This is what I want to do. Like, I don't care how much you have to offer. I just want the uniform. Like, I want to be on your team and play for that university so bad. And so as soon as he said it, I knew, like, my mind was made up. So that's the long-winded story of how I ended up at Arizona.
Did you get to go to games? You know, at some point, I know you mentioned you were in Kentucky,
We
but did you
did.
go to some games, or and watch Arizona
Yeah.
play? Did you have some favorite
We
players?
Yeah, so we did watch them. I feel like mostly once I got to like middle school, high school, like we watched them like growing up. We put
Sure.
it on the TV and stuff. I can't really remember a ton when I was younger, but I do remember watching as like a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, getting prepared to go play there or being excited about potentially playing there. For me, so that was the obviously the air like Mo Mercado. I loved watching that team. That team was so good with Mo and Daniel O'Toole and just Kati Mauga. Like those girls were so fun to watch. And then obviously the more recent with like Jessie Harper, Deja Mulipola, Alyssa Palomino, those were the girls that I idolized. Reina Karanko, who I played behind. I fully expected them to be graduated by the time that I got there. So they were just kind of like, well, like this is cool to watch. And then COVID happened and then they actually came back. And so I got to be their teammate versus just watching them and just knowing them from afar. So I got to play with all of them, which was surreal. They were phenomenal role models and they just stud athletes. So I learned so much from that. Obviously, it was hard as a freshman, kind of having to like wait your turn. But I also understood that Reina Karanko was a absolutely phenomenal senior who fully earned that right to play. And so for me, what happened like my freshman year, I fully embraced the fact that like, okay, next year I'm going to be ready. This is my spot. So it was one of those things where like I trained super hard right behind her and I tried to learn literally everything that I could to be prepared to take over. And that's kind of what I was able to do. And I feel like I was able to kind of build that trust with coach and with Kate, who was the assistant at the time, to really like there was no doubt who was going to be playing there the next year. That was kind of my thing. That's how I trained. And I was never mad about not playing. Like I was not that kid. I was like, dude, you're awesome. Like do your thing. I will be a dugout like master. I will be cheering everyone on in here. But I was fully prepared to take over the next year. And that's when I ended up, my confidence was so high coming in as a sophomore because I knew that it was my spot to lose. So
Right.
yeah, so that's really those are a lot of the players that I really liked watching and like learning from, and then actually getting to play with them was phenomenal.
No, it's funny you bring that up because I remember talking to Coach Kendra in 2021. This was like January, early February, early season, because as you might remember that year you were scheduled to play at UCF for
Yep.
I think it was a Monday game because you had played at Tampa against South Florida. So
Yeah, we
I'm
did play
brought
them. Yeah.
so I'm getting ready to call the game, that game. So I remember talking to Coach Kendra about the roster, and I'll never forget what he told me. I'm not going to do his impersonation, but you know his voice. His voice sometimes
Yep.
when you talk to him, I just hung out with him at the Big 12 tournament. Every time I hear his voice, I feel like God's talking to him. Like, like he's
I
got that,
know. I
right?
agree.
Uh, so he talks about like, write this down. And he's like, two freshmen you need to keep remember in particular. Carly Scoopin, who was I've never seen anybody hit the ball as far as she does in practice, and
Yep.
Allie Skaggs, who's going
Hmm.
to be incredible glove work. And I'm like, okay, write it out. I'll take it. Like, you have to do it. Like, if you don't, like, he
Yeah.
will get mad at you there. But
Yep.
even then, he knew about it.
Hmm.
He even acknowledged, I remember that it was a Zoom kind of a conference call. He acknowledged that he wasn't sure how much he would play because of all, the what you just described, but that you were going to be a big part of this program there. So he clearly, like you said, had a lot of confidence in you. What was it like being recruited by him and getting to know him?
Yeah. will be forever grateful for Coach. I don't even know how to put it into words or describe the gratitude that I have knowing him and even like having played for him, especially playing for him in his last year. I think that that's something that is how many girls can say that 20? Like I don't know. I don't remember how many were on that roster, but there's only a handful of players, one that has ever been able to play for him, and then two been able to go out like and see him fully like leave that legacy there. I forever love that guy. I think for me, like it was one of those things where I will forever compare coaches to him in this sense of especially the fact that like he is the type of guy that players go to play for him. I think that there's a difference between like players wanting to go play at like at a university or they want to go like, oh, they're gonna go try it out. Like they don't know why they might be going to a school. For me, like you go to Arizona to go play for Mike Candrea. And so I think like that was something that that's why I told like telling you earlier that as soon as I was on that call with him and as soon as he offered it, I said yes. Like I knew like that is an offer that you can't pass up. Like that is the type of guy that you having the opportunity to even just meet him, like know him, is to love that guy. So I think for me, he's just like he is one of those type of people that's going to be family for the rest of my life. I don't think I've ever met someone that is more like in tune or connected to his players and their families as Coach Kendria. He every single year he sends you a happy birthday message. Even like he sends one to my mom. Like he sends it to all these families. He who does that? And he's just one of those guys where he cares so much. He cares so much about softball. He cares so much about the girls. He obviously he loves the development too, but I think at the end of the day, like he cares so much about the people. And that's one of those things like I feel so very loved and seen by him. And I think that that's one thing that I'm forever grateful for is being able to say like I played for Mike Kendria and I was a kid that he wanted. I was a kid that he recruited. That's a cool thing too, just knowing that I was one of the last ones and our class was one of the last classes to be recruited by him. Like I think that he's the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time. Like I don't know who's gonna pass that up anytime soon, but he is forever etched in that book for me.
And you will be part of his last team, his last World Series team, as it turns out, that
hmm
2021 year. When did you know he was retiring?
I want to say that it was official at the World
Yes,
Series.
it was right after.
I'd have to go
after
back.
there were a lot of rumors going on,
Yeah.
but nothing was official
hmm
until after the World Series, and then they did the presser where he
Yeah.
announced his retirement, and then they announced
Yeah.
Kate. But there was always rumors like, did you guys know? Did you not know? Or maybe you had some
Yeah.
ideas? Because I remember there was a lot of motivation. I kept hearing that from your veteran players, like they were inspired to get him back to the World Series,
Yeah.
going to the Super Regionals against Arkansas. But it wasn't said. But it was almost like there was a sense, a vibe that hey, this could be it.
Yeah.
Did you
I
sense that?
I think that that's how I would almost describe it. I couldn't tell you exactly, but I don't think he officially, yeah, I don't think he officially told us until right after that last game.
After. Okay.
But there was definitely just knowing that that big senior class was coming back from COVID. Like we knew that that was a big moment that he might be done after this year. Because that was like that is his pride and joy was that class. They were phenomenal. They were so good. And it was one of those things where like he's either gonna retire after this year or he's gonna have to wait 4 more to retire with me, Scoop, G, all these people. Like I was one of
Right.
those things where and I think all of us just kind of had a feeling where like at some point you just it's time to pass the torch. Like it was time for him to pass the torch if that's what he felt. And like all of us were so happy for him. We're like, dude, you accomplished so much. You accomplished everything. And he's a phenomenal guy. And I think that it was one of those things where it just felt right. Like it felt right for him to go out with that group of seniors that they were his girls. And I think that obviously for the rest of us too, like we loved it. Like we would not have been sad if he would have stayed. Like we would have been very excited about that. But we also, I think it was very bittersweet. Like we knew that the time was coming. Like at some point, like you get 35 years into it and it's like, okay, like maybe it's time to explore something else or explore a new role. He is still very, very much involved at the U of A. I will tell you that he was at almost every game. Like he was everywhere. But I think for him, like it was kind of iconic, I would say. Like him going out with that group, like it was not expected, but I think a lot of us had the feeling that it was coming.
Yeah, the veteran team and
For sure.
everything, and he's still got. I think he still has a box right in the suite over there. Like, I mean,
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah,
so
he does.
what's so interesting is you're part of this incredible era of Arizona softball. Because you just mentioned it, Mike Condrea's last team, 2021. You're a freshman. He retires. It's a huge story after one more World Series appearance. I'll never forget. He was so emotional after winning the Super
Yep.
Region and all that. So now 2022, he's retired. A lot of your teammates move on, graduated. So you're a young team. Now your role, you mentioned it earlier, it's a bigger role now
Yeah.
for you as an
Yep.
individual player. You are not the only youngster on the roster. And then you all, by the way, got Caitlin Lowe, who, while helped recruit you, now has got moving up a chair to the head coach. What was that transition like, being part of that young team and then the journey that you would end up running in 22?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is that we had such a good like team culture and identity of who we were and what we were trying to do that the transition wasn't like it wasn't this huge rebuild. Like I think all of us knew what it meant to put on that uniform. And especially to like having Kate step in as the head coach, like we all knew her. She was our coach. So it wasn't like a huge culture shock. Like we knew that we were still getting that Arizona, like that blood, you know what I mean? So I think for us, what was fun about that year is that I just remember how much we played like we had nothing to lose because we didn't, in our opinion. We were like, we're young. So we have a bunch of girls that are playing for the first time, even like me who got to be like a pinch hitter and played when Raina got hurt. Like it still wasn't a full year's worth of experience. So even for me, I was like, this is my first full year. For a lot of us that were playing that year, it was our first full, like you're basically a freshman with experience of knowing what to expect. So it was a very fun year in that sense of playing like we're young, we don't know what people expect of us, but we're just going to go compete. And I think that that's what helped us make that run back to the World Series in 22 was going and playing at Missouri and being like, no one expects us to win this regional. So, like, you get sent there, you're not the host. So it's like, all right, well, if they beat you, then no one's surprised about it. But if you beat them, then all right, it's a pretty good story. And then I remember then going to Mississippi State, it was kind of the same thing. It was a little different because we were fully expecting to play Florida State. And then
Yeah.
Florida State ended up not winning and Mississippi State did. So we were like, we got a pretty good shot to go back to the World Series right now. So we knew we were going to match up really well with Mississippi State. So for us, it was all right, like same thing. Like if we get there, great. Like if we don't, no one even expected us to make a super. So great, we're going to take that and take it and run with it. So that was the fun vibe of that team was like, there's nothing to lose. So let's just go compete. That's all we can do right now. And so it was fun and it allowed us to play pretty free, pretty loose. So yeah, it was really fun.
Pretty much, yeah. We're last four in. Like, I mean, were you nervous
Yeah.
on Selection Sunday that you would get
Oh
in?
yeah.
You weren't,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Absolutely.
That
Yeah.
was
You're
interesting. But
hoping. You're
you're
like,
hoping,
please.
but you got in, and
Yep.
you mentioned it. You made the run on the road, and that was huge for Caitlin Lowe too. To kind of
Yeah.
because at that time it's like, oh, you're under the shadow of Mike Condrea. That was a way to kind of establish
Right.
herself. What was it like playing for Kate?
Yeah, so I think the cool thing about Kate was one, her experience, right? Like she came from being a player, and I think the thing for her was learning the difference between like the coaching styles of her and coach. I do think they are pretty similar and like just the expectation of expecting you to know what you're doing. Like Kate isn't the most like outward like gonna be in your face about a lot of stuff, but she does expect you to like show up and do what you need to do. And so it was fun seeing Kate and just always hearing about like how she was as a player, and then everyone's like, dude, like she was set like she was a shark when she played. Like she was like right here, but went and ran through a wall for her teammates. And so I think it was fun to see that adjustment for her and having her like figure out who she was as the head coach to lead and command a team. So I think for her, it was one of those things where, especially our sophomore year, and I'm sure you know this, but we had a lot of players leave after our sophomore year. And I think it was one of those things where, or my sophomore year, but there was just a whole lot of like loyalty, I think, from some of us back to Kate. And I think for me, like that was one of those things that I really, really felt was hey, I'm a Wildcat, you're a Wildcat for life. Like I got you. Like we're here. There's a group of us returning. Like there was just a different level of like trust and love and respect out of that. So I think that it's been a fun thing, like watching her like really try to like learn, grow, and step into that role as a head coach because it is different. It's different being an assistant versus a head when it comes to like now the team's looking to you every time, right? And so I think that she's really coming into her own, and she's starting to build kind of like her own pathway with that too, because it's got to like it has to be hard coming in right behind someone like Coach Candrea. Like that was going to be a tall task for anyone. So I think for her, it's just continuing to find what that looks like for her and building her own brand with that too, while also carrying on the Arizona, the culture and the vibe and the legacy of that too.
And I remember she had a lot of pride when you won the Gold Glove.
Hmm.
I will never forget. I think they social media they showed like video of you getting the award. They
Yeah.
showed the trophy. Do you remember when you found out that you had
Yeah.
won the Gold Glove?
Yeah. Wait, the Gold Glove. Oh, I do remember the Gold Glove. I'm thinking more the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. That
Oh
was a
yeah,
fun story.
well,
But
okay, all right.
so I'll tell you about that one because the Gold Glove one was fun. I was in California doing an internship with the Angels, and I was living with a teammate of mine, Sydney Sommerdyke, and we were in the car, I think, with her family, and I get a call, FaceTime from Kate, and I was like, "Hey, whatever," and then she's like, "Well, I have something to tell you," and then she told me in the car, she's like, we were rolling a Gold Glover," and I was like, "Wait, are you kidding me?" I'm like, "I'm not even in Arizona." Like it was really cool, like that, just to have that like intimate moment. Like it was really cool to hear that, and just to it was one of those things that was a huge goal of mine, was to make my defense better, because my sophomore year I struggled defensively. I offensively I was great, but defensively it was not great. So I knew that I needed to be better. And then so I set a goal of my junior year. I remember telling my dad after my sophomore year of sophomore year of college, I told him like next year all I'm planning on doing is making the Pac-12 defensive team. I was like, I don't even care. Like I know my hitting's going to be fine because my hitting was fine the past year. So I was like, my hitting's going to be fine. I'm still going to be really competitive in the box, but my goal is going to be defense. And so for me, like the next year, I actually ended up being the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year and winning the Gold Glove. And the Defensive Player of the Year one was fun because we have an iconic commentator, Danny Martinez. He's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing. He does all of our like PA stuff,
Yeah.
but he's incredible. And so his voice is like icon. I can hear it right now. But it was cool. We were just doing like a random practice one day. It was just a normal practice, and we were taking ground balls. I had no clue about the Defensive Player of the Year thing. Like I had no clue the awards that were even coming out. But we were taking ground balls and I was about to turn double plays, I think. And all I hear is Danny's voice come over the intercom at practice. And it's like, all right, everyone, like, listen up, Wildcats or whatever. And he said that we'd like to congratulate our Pac-12 defensive 2023 Pac-12 defensive player of the year. And then he said my name, and all of the girls just immediately stopped, and like everyone sprinted over to me, and they were all giving me hugs and giving me love and stuff. And I had no clue. So like the reaction was very raw on that video.
I remember that.
I was
Yes.
just so excited. Like I had no idea. It caught me so off guard. And then just to be able to celebrate that moment with all of those girls there, and then the coaches too, like it was just one of those things where it's like, man, okay, like I did it. Like that was a goal that I had set, and I made it happen. Like, and so just being able to say that I did that was incredible. So we actually got to do that the following year too, to Taylor Beal, who was our shortstop,
That's
and
right.
she was the defensive player of the year. So we got to do the same thing to her. So it was so cool. I will never forget that moment.
Where do you have the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year trophy? Where do you have the Gold Glove
They're
award
back home
trophy?
in Arizona.
All right, you got them like you got
Yeah,
them in an
they're
office.
stashed away. No, once
Oh,
I'm in an apartment right now. So once I like find my like home,
okay.
I'll be putting it out. Don't worry.
All right, good. I was gonna say, I was like, oh, don't be like Taryn. Like I've
It's
had Taryn Mowat on the show. And I asked her where the ESPY's. Like I don't know where it is. Like what do you mean you don't know where it is? Like fuck.
hey, it's the concept. We did it.
No,
So
you did do it. There. You mentioned you interned with the Angels.
I did.
So did you
I
get to
did.
ever meet Mike Trout or Shohei Ohtani when they were at that time?
So I was around them. I never like officially met them, but I did get to see them because I was in the special events department. So we hosted like a bunch of the event stuff. So I did like I was around the players a decent amount. So it was pretty cool. Like I got to meet a couple of the players. I'd have to go back and like rack my brain to remember who all I met, but it was really cool. I was right next to Mike Trout. I didn't like officially meet him, but I saw him. And then I saw Shohei too. And that guy is huge and he's awesome. So I got the cool thing was working at the stadium, I got to just watch all the games while I was there. So I could like walk around and stuff and go watch a Shohei at bat real quick and then get back to work. And then, but it was cool. It was really cool summer.
was gonna say, yeah. I mean, there's probably some
Hmm.
things you could pick up there. Did you ever consider like, oh, I should say something, or were you too like, I'm not gonna bother him?
I think I was a little intimidated by Mike Trout because
Sure.
I was like, I don't know if he wants to talk right now. So I'm not that type of person that like won't say something. Like if it's someone that I want to
Okay.
meet, like I'm gonna go up to
Fair.
him. But I was like, I don't know if the vibe is right. So I think he's locked in. So, but no, I got to meet a couple players, which was really cool. But in the future, if I cross paths with him again, I'll introduce myself.
You should. You've got the accolades to do it. I mean, uh, it's pretty amazing. I don't know if you've thought of this as you've reflected on your career. You were part of Mike Condrea's last team World Series team, as we talked about. You're always going to be part of Caitlin Lowe's first
Hmm.
World Series team as a coach. Uh, you win a Gold Glove. You participate in the first ever Pac-12 tournament that was held at Arizona.
Yeah.
You also were part of Arizona's last Pac-12 team ever. Like,
Yep.
that's a lot in four
That's a
years. Have you
lot.
thought
That's a
about
lot.
that? Like, that's from a historical context, how much history you
Yeah.
were a part of?
I have thought about it. I think for me, it's still it feels so fresh still. So I haven't like really sat in it or like, they're only 1 year into the Big 12. So I'm like, okay. Like, but I do miss the Pac-12 though. That is one thing. The Pac-12 was such a phenomenal conference. I do miss it. That is one thing that I was like, oh, it's such a bummer. Like it just even just this year, like conference play, I was like, not the same. Like it's just not. I don't know. I loved the Pac-12. Like I thought that conference was phenomenal, and those weekends were always just so competitive, and like there was just so much heart in it. So I was sad to see it go. I think the Big 12 is going to do great too, but I think the Pac-12 is just iconic, and that makes me even more like grateful to have gone out with it. So I'm glad that I was able to be a part of it for its last year, and to that's how I went out. Like I'm glad that I went out with the Pac-12.
Yeah, I mean, it was a historic year
Hmm.
in a lot of ways, and it still is. It was kind of unique getting to see Arizona. Like, I covered the Big 12 championship, hung out with the
Yeah,
Arizona staff, but it was kind of weird. Like, they're there and they're scouting like Iowa State, BYU. It's like
I
kind of,
know.
it's, you
I
know,
know. It's
uh,
different.
although it was cool because I could say now I sat next to Mike Condrea, who was the uh,
Yes.
administrative rep for softball, helping
Hmm.
out the coaching staff, and I'm sitting next to him at Oklahoma City, which was his first time back. He told me since that the World Series. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
it's kind of full circle there on
Yep.
that. How much do you still follow the program?
A lot. I watched as many games as I could this year. I went back to Tucson a lot just because I live in Phoenix, so it was an easy hour and a half drive or so. I went to quite a few of the games, and then I watched all of them on my phone when I couldn't be there. So I followed every little bit of it. So I love it. I love that program. Like I'm so grateful to be a Wildcat. So it's one of those things where like I'm gonna forever support the program. I want them to do well. Like I love being a Wildcat. So I think it's one of those things where I'm not planning on stopping watching them anytime soon, and I'll
Okay.
plan on I still love going to Rita. I love our home stadium. We are so spoiled that stadium and field means so much to me. Like it just fills my cup when I even see it. So I'm like, I'll go back to Tucson. I'll go back in that stadium, and even just seeing all like the staff and stuff. That was the really cool part about being able to go back and watch this year, was just seeing all the security and all the ushers and all these people like that made such a huge impact on me while I was there. And then being able to go back and actually really spend time with them and like have good conversations. And instead of just being a player where I can see them a little bit, then leave, I was like, I actually got to really like build some more relationships and go see them as a person a little bit more than just a player. So it was awesome. Like I will keep going back to Rita as long as she's still there. I'm gonna keep going back.
Good. Good. Hey, get them getting you in the booth there. Maybe say
I
hello in the
thought about it.
booth there. If Kenzie Fowler's not
Yeah.
available, maybe you fill in for her. Something
All
like that.
right.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I can talk to Kenzie about that.
There you go. She is definitely the person to talk to about that.
Yeah.
Not me there. Last couple things here before we let you go. Obviously, you still got a couple more release weeks to go this summer and everything like that. I'm curious, and you said you want to keep playing for a while.
Hmm.
Do you allow yourself to think about the Olympics at all in 2028, being in the United States,
Yeah.
being in Oklahoma City? Is that something you think about? Is that something you're going to shoot for? Like, or are you just what's kind of the mindset with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those things where those opportunities don't come often to a lot of people. And so for me, like the Olympics is obviously a dream. Like if that's the type of thing that I can go play for, if everyone like if anyone gets the chance to go do it, I think they're going to go do it. So for me, I think the Olympics is one of those things where like the training almost needs to be set for that. Like, and I feel like for me, like I'm aware that I have 2.5 years to go, like go get prepared for that. So if for me, my goal is in 2.5 years, can I go be one of the best infielders that they're going to choose? Like and in my opinion, like I need to be outright one of the best options if I'm going to make that team. So that's a big motivator for me when it comes to playing at that stage is you need to go separate yourself somehow and you need to go be the type of player that they think is going to help them win games over other players. So I think 2.5 years is a long time. It's short, but it's also long at the same time, depending on how you take it and depending on what you do with it. So I'm planning on being super active with my training for the next 2 years. So it's get to work and get yourself to a level where you think that you can go compete. And then if I feel like I get there and I have an opportunity to maybe go to a tryout, go to something like see if I can go make a name for myself there, great, I'll try it. So it's one of those things where it's one more thing to accomplish. I think that that's the cool thing too. Like we talked about it a little bit, just what I was able to be a part of at U of A and just kind of was able to do and like the things I was able to, the accolades or whatever, anything like that. Like I think like I accomplished a lot that I was super, super proud of, still am super proud of. And the Olympics is just one huge thing to accomplish now. Like I made it to the pro level. Great. I've played pro. This is my second pro summer. And now it's like, what else can you do? And so I think the Olympics is the next biggest thing. Like it is the biggest thing. So
Well, not to sound like your campaign person here, PR person, but you're probably more prepared to try to compete to make the Olympic team than you were coming out of college because now you could show that you're versatile because that's huge in international balls.
yep.
You got to be versatile and play
Yep.
a ton of positions. And now you can play first, second, short, third. That's got to be there's some
It
value
helps.
into that.
Yeah, there's definitely value in that. I think at the end of the day, it does come down to your bat. If you can hit,
Sure.
they're going to take you. But playing defense is huge too. Like if you're a liability on defense, like you're probably going to be the DP. And then for me, my goal is okay, if I can hit really well, there's gonna be a spot on the field somewhere, and I'm gonna feel comfortable playing it. So a lot of it comes down to can you hit that level of pitching? Can you hit the pitchers that are absolute studs all around the world? And then if you can do that, you're probably feeling pretty good. You're probably going to find yourself a spot in that lineup. So that's kind of I know my defense is going to hold up. And so now it's, hey, can you go compete better in the box than everyone else?
Well, that'll be fun. But as you mentioned, that's
Mm-hmm.
also kind of a long ways away. You got a lot of softball between now and then, including finishing this summer out playing with the
Yep.
Orlando Monarchs. That's Allie Skaggs joining us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball, powered by 643. Hey, listen, this was awesome. This was fun. Like I said, I generally have enjoyed watching you play since Arizona, and I was generally excited when I saw the roster and you were part of the Monarchs this year, and I knew I was going to get to call some of the games to see you play in person, and it's been as advertised. We just need the weather to go away. That's the only.
I agree. Let us
Great,
play
we need
some
a ring.
games. Come
Yeah,
on.
agreed. But hey, thanks for doing this. Hopefully, we'll stay in touch. Definitely want to get you back on down the road, talk more about the club ball scene as you get more into
Yeah,
that entrenched there. But thanks for taking the time to join us.
absolutely. Thank you, Eric.